Well, from the world of confusion, I gotta tell you guys, 155 has really been fun. I've enjoyed not fully knowing what's going on. But we were also told from the beginning that the champion, meaning Islam's, move will be fully predicated on the outcome of Jack and Blahal. Now, we weren't even told more than that. It was never actually said to us that Blahal, if he's the victor, Islam won't go mess with him because they're buddies. That was never actually said. We were just told that Islam's decision for what he will do next, that decision will be put on hold until after the conclusion of Jack versus Blahal, right? I want to be real specific. Because at some point in this, right, post-Islam Money Moicano and prior to today, Ilia Topuria, the undefeated reigning champion of the world, moves into the division. And now you have a problem. What has more power? A number one ranked guy or an unranked, undefeated champion of the world? And it was one of these collisions that we haven't really seen before. So we didn't totally know how this was going to go. Now we've got some level of resolution today. But you must understand, it's coming in 3 different languages. I'm going to tell you it in English, but it was told to one half in Spanish. That's Ilia's side. It was told to the Dagestanis in another language. And so I'm only bringing this to you because I don't want to hear about, hey, Chael, you're speaking over yourself or you're not making sense. My entire point to you is that this one is tough to make sense of. Okay, UFC 317, which is right around the corner. UFC 317. Ilia Topuria will fight for the lightweight championship of the world. Now, it's relevant that you know this because he's either going to fight the lightweight champion in Islam Makhachev, or by 317, Islam will have been stripped, in which case the vacated title will still be 50% Ilia Topuria, but his opponent will be Charles Oliveira. Now, these sound like great ideas to me. I've been pushing pretty hard for Charles versus Ilia, and that was subsequent of a world title. I just thought that Charles versus Islam, or Ilia versus Islam, is a much bigger event if Charles and Ilia find each other first. That's what I've maintained. So, I could normally get out right here. Like, as confusing as that was, the smart marks, you guys did stay with me. You guys understood all that was said. The problem is, this same article speaks to the idea that if Islam were to go up, he would be going up and he would be challenging Jack for champ status. And that's the part that becomes impossible. It is impossible for Ilia to fight for a world title at 317, possibly against Charles, for a vacated bout. You can't do that in the presence of champ. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's good that they got a typo here or they got it wrong. The idea of champ should not exist. And it was pretty misunderstood from the first day that it did happen. If you move up and you succeed instantly, you should be stripped of your lower weight class. But even if you aren't instantly stripped, eventually they all end up stripped because none of them cut weight. Nobody wants to be smaller while telling the world how tough you are. Everybody, no matter what they weigh, everybody alive would like to be bigger if they're in the tough guy mindset. Never meet a guy that wants to be a badass and then praise to God that he's 2 inches shorter. You'll literally never meet him. Just why I'm just sharing for you. There is really no champ. And it greatly takes away from the sincerity. Greatly. Because nobody is going to cut that weight unless they have to. And I know you can find me an example. I know you smart marks are going to try to leave me a comment and tell me about Amanda Nunes. But I'm going to remind you that in those 2 divisions, if you put them together and times them by 2, they would still be the smallest division in the UFC. There wasn't enough bodies. There was a reason that she had to go 35 and 45 and did. Some days went 35 and some days went 45. She did because the division was so small. It's a little bit of a different scenario. And I do like this for Islam. I really do. I can just tell you, there's certain choices that you make in life. And it's hard to go back. It can be done, but boy, it's hard. It's very hard to go from a 4-door full-size pickup truck to a 2-door. It just is. Where do I put my stuff? Where's my kid ride? It's very hard to fly and coach for 10 years and then spend a year in first class and then go back to coach. It can be done, but it's very hard. You know guys that you went to high school with, and they're going to go to college. They're gonna take a year break. They call it a sabbatical because it's a fancy word. They can't spell sabbatical, but they tell you that they're going to take a sabbatical. But then they don't go back to college. Yet nobody does. Nobody's in college and drops out and takes a sabbatical, takes a break, and then comes back. I mean, it's literally, if you look at the stats on it, it's not no one, but boy, it's close. It's less than 0.1%. And the idea that Islam would cut to 155 pounds if he didn't need to. It's the one thing that he doesn't want to do. And Islam's really never asked us for anything. He's never asked us for money or card placement or more attention or more interviews. He's really never told the community anything that bothers him. He keeps his mouth shut and he moves forward and does largely what the sport and the organization ask of him. But he has let it known, I don't want to keep making 155. And we are getting a dangle. We are getting a volley back and forth. We didn't get that with Ilia. Ilia made his decision and he moved forward quickly. And I will just tell you, cutting weight, getting down to 155, that is not something hard that you do the night before or even the week of. It is a lifestyle commitment. Months in advance, it begins, and there are no breaks. For months. And once you make the decision that I'm no longer going to sacrifice that, I'm going to go be a 170-pounder. Once that decision is made, you're never going to put that in rewind. A guy doesn't need a break from making 155 for a year, and then he'll start doing it again. And the idea of champ needs to be resisted by you, our community. We must resist champ. It only creates a problem and creates confusion. And sometimes it creates a scenario where good men will do bad things. Having an undisputed champion at the same time as an interim champion means you have good men that just did something bad. They didn't know what to do, so they folded and did nothing. You can support Islam. I support Islam. Champ. We never should have supported, and we can't do it even with the exception of Islam.